Okay, in this lecture, we're going to be talking about arrays. So, what is an array and why do we have to use it? So, an array is basically like a container object that holds multiple values of the same type. That's basically the definition of an array. So, why do we have to use it? So, let's say, for example, that I am a teacher and I need to keep track of my students' grades. So if I don't have an array, the only option I have is to create a variable for every single student's grade. Like for example, I need Maria grade, and then I need another variable for Tim grade, and then Mike grade, and so on. So if I have 60 students, so I need 60 variables to hold the grades of every single student. That's why Java came up with this idea of having an array that can hold different values using only one single variable. So I'm going to need one single variable. For the array, we use the square bracket. So this is the symbol of an array. Every time you see this symbol, opening and closing square brackets, so that shows that you are dealing with an array. And then you have to specify the type. Is it an integer, double, um, student, what type of class? So you can have primitive and also objects as well. So let's say, for example, we have an array of type integer called grades. And then let's say, just to make it simple, I have a class of 6 students. So I'm gonna go and then put new int, and then I have to specify the length. It is required. You have to tell Java how many spots do you need. So in my case, you have 6. You don't have to use all of them, but you have to specify the length. And once you specify the length, and maybe this is one of the disadvantages of having an array, you cannot change it. So if you want to increase the number of elements, you have no choice but to create a new one with the bigger length. So here we have 6 spots of where you can store grades. So by default, when you create them the first time, they are 0. So all of them are zeros by default. And then you can change the values. So you can say, for example, grades 0 is, let's say, 84. Okay. Grades 1 is 90. Grades 4 is 70. That's 70. Now, I stored only 3 values. That means the rest are zeros. So if you want to print an array, if I try to print grades, now I may have an error here because that's not the correct way to print an array. To print an array, you need 2 things. You need first to import. Remember, like for the scanner, we can't use the scanner without importing the scanner class because it is a built-in Java class. So that's why we need to import that. So import java.util. So you can say arrays. Now, if you want to import more than one class, let's say arrays and scanner, just put the asterisk here. So that's going to include the entire package utilities that includes scanner, arrays, and other classes. And then when you print an array, you need to use this statement, arrays to string grades. So if I try to print this, so since I have 6, it has to show 6 grades. So I changed the values only of 3 of them, so that's why the rest are zeros. Now, there's another way of you can create an array. If you already have the values, let's say I already know the grades, I don't have to put this. So I can, let me put this as a comment. You can just put the values directly. So I can put something like this, grades, and then use the curly brackets and then put all the values. So So for example, I'm going to have 80, 75, 60, 100, and then 94, and then 68. So automatically Java will figure out the length, which is 246 in this case. So here I don't need this because I already have the values. Okay. If I try to run the program, it's going to show me the values that I have here. Okay. And then to access anything, let's say I want to access the first one, so I'm going to put grades 0. This means print the first grade, and then grades 1, grades 2, and so on. Okay. You can add 2 if you want to. You can say grades, let's say the first one with the second one. So if you add them, since both of them are numbers, so you can get, you can add them up. So in this case, it's 150. You can add all of them if you want to. Okay. Now, how do we refer to the last one? Let's say I don't know. Of course, here you can use grades 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by the way, array is just like string. We learned about string. That we said that it is an index based. You start from 0. Array works exactly the same way. So we start from 0. So to access the first element, you have to use the index 0. The second element is index 1, and so on. Now, how do you access the last one? So since the length is 6, the last one is always the length minus 1. So if you want to access the last one, I have to put grades, and then inside the parentheses I have to put grades.length minus 1. That means the length of the array minus 1. So that should give me 68. Okay. I can also, let's say I want to add or calculate the sum and the average of the class. Average of the class grades. So I need a variable for that, sum 0. And I'm going to use the loop to calculate the sum of all the values. I'm going to start from 0 all the way to the end. Use grades dot length, and I'm going to keep adding. So sum plus equal grades I. That means grades 0 plus grades 1 plus grades 2 all the way to 5. And then you can print the sum outside the loop. So I'm going to put something like the sum of all grades is, and then you put sum. So here the sum is 477, but 477 is not going to give me any information about the level of the grade of the class, whether the class is doing good or not. So average would be probably more useful. So how do I calculate the average? So the average class grade is, so I just have to divide sum by the number of grades in the array, which is grades.length. I mean, I can put 6 here, but what about if I don't know how many grades I have? So grades.length should be the right thing to do. So here we have 79. Okay. Now, since we have integer over integer, you may have to cast it to double in case. Okay. So this is how you calculate the average. We can create also another type of array. So let's say of type string. Square brackets, and then let's say names. You can do the same thing. So they have names. Maria, Bob, Jim, Okay, Jasmine and David. That's another example of an array. So if you want to print that, we always use arrays to string. Put the name of the array inside. So here we have names. That's going to print the entire array. Okay. And you can do the same thing. Let's say I want to know what is the highest, or which name has the highest, the highest number of characters. Like in this case, Jasmine, because it has 2, 4, 6, 7. So I can have like a variable, let's say, called highest 0. And then I'm gonna search. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. Less than names dot links. And then I'm gonna put if names I dot length, because I want to know how many characters. So names I is the string. Now if I use the length of the string class, that's going to give me the number of characters. If it's higher than highest, then I will update highest. Highest will be equal names I dot length. And then outside the loop, you're going to display, okay, the longest number of characters is highest. So if I try to run the program, say I'm missing semicolon here, I think I'm missing semicolon here. Okay, build it and then run it. So it should be Jasmine. It has 7 characters, so that's okay. Okay, so this is an introduction to arrays. So I showed you how to create an array, how to declare one, how to instantiate an array, and then I give you 2 examples: array of type integer and array of type string. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next lecture.